How you doing, folks? Welcome again to Wildlife Wednesday. This week, I'd like to talk, as I did last week with the snow bunting, about another bird which is an uncommon visitor to Ireland. An occasional winter nomad which only comes to us when berry crops either fail or are in short supply in its home territories. Territories which extend from Finland eastward across Siberia and onward into North America. Waxwing. An incredibly beautiful bird which, when on those rare occasions it does arrive in Ireland, can, as with the arrival of snow buntings, cause the hearts of birdwatchers and photographers alike to flutter in anticipation of a sighting of these special Nordic beauties. Generally, they tend to visit urban areas in the north and east of the country, and their arrival will be noticed even by the general public, which may have little or no interest in birds or bird watching. This is mainly due to the fact that waxwings are an exotic looking bird. Their behaviour when they do arrive in an urban area causes the general public to become aware of them because of those exotic looks and their feeding habits. This is particularly true in so-called waxwing winters, when large numbers, sometimes even hundreds, arrive and set about stripping every berry-bearing tree, such as rowan or hawthorn, of every single berry. They are described on the Birdwatched Ireland site as follows. Slightly larger than a bullfinch, the body is a uniform light brown colour with small black patches around the eye and on the chin. The vent is dark red in colour, while there's a thin white stripe on the wing. Just below this white stripe is a small group of red feathers, similar to a blob of wax, which gives the waxwing its name. It's also one of the very few birds likely to turn up in Irish gardens which has an obvious crest. Feeds almost exclusively on berries during the winter, mainly those of rowan and pyracantha. Waxwings will also feed on apples that have been cut in half and speared on branches. In summer, waxwings feed on insects caught in flight. So there you have the official description of what a waxwing looks like. But to me, no words or even photographs can truly describe a waxwing, because as I see it, waxwing sightings, unlike the sighting of few other species, is an experience never to be forgotten. I once heard Eric Dempsey, who is one of Ireland's foremost ornithologists, liken his first waxwing to his first kiss. You never forget your first kiss. And I think I have to agree with him. Aside from causing a stir amongst bird watchers and photographers, there are occasions when waxwing can cause a stir in other ways as well, and some instances even make the front page headlines of our newspapers and our radio and TV news bulletins. There were a couple of years in particular that I remember this happening, and reports in the media were claiming that birds were falling from trees in several Dublin suburbs such as Finglas and Glasnevin, and also around St. Stephen's Green, where they were not only falling from trees, but were also said to be flying into buildings. And they were speculating as to the cause of this strange phenomenon. Sadly, a number of these beautiful visitors had overindulged on berries that had become fermented fruit, and they in turn had become drunk in the process. And just like people who have had one too many on a night out in the pub, they had fallen off their perch and hit the ground with a bang, causing many to die, while others, in a drunken haze, had flown into windows and perished. Apparently, studies have shown that eating fermented berries is not generally a problem for waxwings due to the fact that over time they have developed larger livers and can metabolize alcohol at higher rates than other birds. It must be remembered, though, that a single waxwing can consume as many as 1,000 berries in a single day, or approximately twice its own body weight. And immature birds are more likely to become inebriated than experienced birds with greater awareness of impending dangers, which would seem to suggest that those birds which fell from trees or flew into buildings were more than likely immature birds. I've never been a twitcher. In fact, I don't even consider myself a proper bird watcher, whatever that is. But I have to admit I have on several occasions over the years become a twitcher for a day, or two in some cases. By this I mean I have gone in search of a single bird, or, as in the case of waxwings, a flock of birds. From the point of view of a single bird, I once drove all the way to Dungarvan, County Waterford, a journey of approximately 200 kilometres or 125 miles, in the hope of capturing some images of a bluethroat, which had been seen several times over the previous few days. Although I struggled initially to locate the bird and several times thought of abandoning my search and going home, I figured that having come this far, the least I should do is get some pictures of the other species in the area to justify the long drive down and back, so that the whole day didn't turn into a waste of time. I made the right decision, because not only did I go home with a nice selection of images of local birds, but I actually found the bluethroat, and he was extremely accessible, and I ended up with a selection of photos of him that would have made the trip worthwhile on their own. But back to the waxwing. I have gone in search of this much sought after species on several occasions over the years, and have been lucky enough to photograph them in quite a few locations, including the aforementioned ones in Finglas and Glasnevin, and several other areas as well. There was one occasion, though, which sticks in my mind, not because of my success in finding them and getting nice pictures, but rather because I failed to see even a single bird, having toured 3 different locations from which I'd heard reports. Ah well, you can't win them all. I arrived home after my unsuccessful morning, disappointed but not dejected. I was sure there would be other opportunities in the coming days. Without even unpacking my gear, I took my pipe and tobacco, I was still a smoker back then, and went into the back garden for a smoke. As I was filling my pipe, I noticed a large flock of starlings feeding in a tree just outside the last garden on the road. I reached for a pair of binoculars, which I kept on a shelf at the back door to get a better look, and to my great surprise, I was watching not a flock of starlings, but a flock of waxwings. Having spent half the day searching for and failing to find these beautiful strangers, I arrived home and there they were, waiting for me. So out I went, back to the car, grabbed my gear, and spent the next hour with the small flock which had come to visit. The following day they were back again, and in fact, they hung around for a few days before they had completely stripped the tree they were feeding in. And this gave me several opportunities over those few days to get some really nice pictures, many of which I've included in the following slideshow, which I hope you'll enjoy. Well, thanks again for watching Wildlife Wednesday, folks. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, I'd be grateful if you'd give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And when you do, don't forget to ring the bell so that you're notified every time I upload new content. Till next week, stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, and continue to maintain social distancing. You never know, the life you save may be your own. Take care, folks. Bye.